Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your co-host, Keoni McKeague, and with me on After the Buzzer is my boy, Brooke. Say what's up to the pod, Brooke.
What's up?
Looking for M's like I lost a friend.
So we are back yet again to talk some NBA basketball. We know we have not been here for a few of the games. We were kind of keeping up with the series and then had a little bit of a lull there. But we are back to talk some game. Well, technically there's a game 6 in there sprinkled in. But the game 7s from last week and then, of course, some of the game 1s that happened in the last day or so. I believe there is still one more, if I'm not mistaken. The Warriors and Timberwolves haven't played yet, so that one will come up later on today, but we'll finish talking about the games that we have seen up until this point, and we'll get to that one on the next one, probably roped in there with the game 2s or such. But anyway, before we do any of that, we have to give a shout out to our partners over at W Energy. Fantastic tasting energy. You head on over to w.gg or use the W Energy app. Use our promo code POINSOY, that's POINSOY, for 10% off your order. Boog, let's talk some NBA basketball.
Yes.
So first and foremost, because like I said, off pod kind of makes sense. We're going to do this in order a little bit. We got to talk about some of the teams that were eliminated, but we'll talk about the series that ended their time in the playoffs first. Firstly, we have the Rockets and the Warriors. So we didn't get to see game 6, or we didn't talk about game 6 heading into this one. But the Rockets did win that one 115-107, tying up the series and sending it to a game 7. And then in game 7, the Warriors pretty much ran away with it, won 103-89. It's 14 points at the end of it, but honestly, it was by 20 for a majority of that game, especially leading into that fourth quarter. But Boog, thoughts, opinions? Obviously, the Warriors head into the next round against the Timberwolves matchup. What did you see that they were able to do to neutralize them in that game 7? And then what did you see that kind of gives you optimism for the Rockets' future?
In game 6 and 7 for the Rockets, for me, a lot of it had to do just with the play of Fred VanVleet and the way that he would, like we said, I think somebody said it in game 5 or something. Fred VanVleet remembered that he's him and how to play and how to score and do things like that. So I think that was one of the biggest difference for me with the Warriors. You
remember he's an NBA champion, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And game 7 was just like Buddy Hield going off, Steph Curry having that second half surgence,
Jimmy or something by
he was 9 of 11.
Jeez.
9 of 11. 12 of 15 from the field, 9 of 11 from the 3-point line. Never went to the line once to shoot a free throw. But yeah, I think that mainly was the biggest part of it, was Buddy Hield actually hitting down shots like what he was kind of brought in to do.
Yeah.
Jimmy had a steady stat line of 28 and 7. So that's the Jimmy thing you're gonna get. That's good Jimmy offensive numbers, and of course defensively, you know what you're getting on that side of the ball too. I think the biggest thing for me was when I looked at the game 7, because I didn't get to watch it because I had a VLA match, but Emily was telling me about it. I got to watch the highlights and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you look at who showed up to play and who didn't. You got Sengun, you got and Thompson. We talked all about how great he is, but
so good in that game.
Where's Jalen Green? Where's Dylan Brooks? Where's even the Steven Adams? Steven Adams in game 6 had a crazy stat line. He's been good. I feel like him and Sengun have been really good this playoff series in general. The big men have actually been more dominant, and Steven Adams actually kind of looking like Steven Adams mode a little bit. Just a little aged a little bit, but still grabbing boards, scoring points, being dominant on the post, and even his vision of passing.
Yeah, I was going to say, to add to that though, I feel like in game 7 they did not play Steven Adams as much as
26 minutes he played.
It feels like they kind of rotated him out in the bigger moments because they kind of brought him in sparsely
to give breaks more than anything.
Pretty much, it was kind of one of those things where it's like the team is down so many points or whatever it was, and then they kind of give Sengun some rest. But they had already gone on the run with Sengun in there. So it's like Steven Adams was kind of playing catch up, which is why I feel like a lot of his stats weren't great in that one. But he
Yeah.
was playing some top tier defense. He made it hard for them to get to the paint. It was just rough because obviously when you have like the Warriors kind of pseudo death lineup that they run now, you know what I mean? I think
Mm-hmm.
even for a little bit they put Kaminga on Steven Adams in game 7, so there was kind of a lot of that like size advantage that they were giving up. But to be completely fair though, the Warriors, man, I mean, between Buddy Hield's hot shooting, the like I said, people always talk about like, or have been talking about, especially now recently, with the kind of comparisons between Steph Curry and LeBron's career, about how Steph is also not having an impact or whatever, and that's why. But people are so like hater on LeBron. That's why they talk about
They
oh
talk about him more
his
than
stat line or whatever was but to be completely honest, it's that gravity pull. You know what I mean? It's how many times you see 3 or 4 guys just working to manage whether it's the screen that's being thrown towards Steph Curry or to guard him outside past the half. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous because in a few of the sets that they had during this game, there's a reason why Buddy Hield was left wide open
dude.
in the corner.
He was
Yeah, I
super
mean,
wide open.
everybody's pulling to like the right side where Steph Curry is doing an action. Nobody is there. Like I think of more than a few times it'd be like Steph Curry dribbling. There's like 2 guys on him. Then a third guy comes to kind of help to make the cutoff in case he tries to
Yeah.
dribble down the side. And then he would get the ball to like Jimmy, who's like in the post, and then Jimmy would swing it out to Buddy Hield, who's in the corner. And it's that gravity pull, man. Like regardless of like if he's scoring or not, it's the threat of him scoring and
Yeah.
the threat of him heating up, and that to me is why he's as prolific as he is, because it's hard to
Because
manage him.
you have to respect it,
Yeah,
and that's
you
what the
have to,
Rockets
like,
did.
You have to be out there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the Rockets did that in the games that they won, and the games that they won, they threw bodies, and nobody was hitting shots.
Yeah.
And then just so happens like game 7, like it just happened where it rolled the Warriors' ways, where
Yeah.
everybody was knocking down shots. Like they shot
Yeah.
really well, and I mean that's the, like you said, the Steph Curry effect. But I mean, with the Rockets team, now that they're out, we can talk about their rebuild. We can talk about all kind of different things. They got a lot of young stars. They got they have a good veteran pieces, but I mean, there's a lot of talk about Jalen Green and what's going to happen with him. Like I've seen a lot of rumors.
To
like,
me, that's the starting point. Like Jalen Green and Jabari Smith have to be the starting point. Like
yeah,
Amen Thompson for me is off the board completely. If you watch him
Off
in
the
Game
board.
7,
Alperen
bro.
Sengun off the board. I think even Tari Eason. I like what Tari Eason does in his 6-man
This
minutes.
sounds wild, but I would trade Alperen Sengun before I would trade Amen Thompson. Watching him play, especially in a Game 7 of a playoff series, of his first playoff series, I mean, that kid had it in spades. Like what he was doing in this one specifically to try to bring them back, being a pest on the defensive end, being the guy who kind of mostly locked down Steph Curry, being the guy who kind of went out and made big plays when it needed to happen. He was the reason why they were even somewhat close in this one. Like to me, like that's the kid you now focus your rebuild around. So it's like I'm not saying they should trade Alperen, but I'm just saying like if it came down to like Amen
if you
or
had
Alperen,
to choose one or the other,
it's Amen for me. I'm keeping that dude 100%. So
I'm keeping both of them and getting rid of everybody else.
yeah. They definitely should. I mean, and we'll talk about it now because we're here. The rumored number 1 target supposedly is Kevin Durant. I kind of worked out the numbers a little bit the other day. I believe if they wanted to make the trade, it would have to be something in the realm of Jabari Smith Jr. No, it would actually be Jalen Green, Jabari Smith Jr., and one of either Cam Whitmore or Reed Shepherd, the point guard rookie.
I like Reed Shepherd.
Plus maybe like 8 of their future picks.
Wow.
Yeah. It's funny too because the Rockets actually own a good majority of the Suns picks. So the Suns would actually be trading for their picks back essentially. But yeah, so in the scenario I think I kind of worked out, it's basically those 3 players plus the picks and they get Kevin Durant.
Was that from the Chris Paul trade?
That
I was
would
like
be
the only.
pretty.
I was
You know,
like the
it's
only
funny. I
person
was
I
trying to
think
think
went to
about that.
Phoenix.
I completely forgot that Chris Paul. Yeah, you're right. That's a
I think that's from the Chris Paul trade.
good shout. I could not remember how they acquired all the Suns picks. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he said they're from the Suns. I was like, oh, it's going back. I was like, who was on
Wow,
the
I completely
Rockets? And I was
forgot
like,
that he went from the Rockets to the Suns. Yeah, and then
Rockets
the
to the
Suns to the
Suns.
Warriors, the Warriors to the Spurs. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Like full circle coming
Yeah,
back.
I was just about to say. I was like, so yeah, that was kind of the initial layout of a trade that was kind of worked out. I mean, yeah, I guess in another version of this, if they really wanted him, which especially after this performance, I can't imagine they do. I mean, you could technically swap Dylan Brooks and Jalen Green over to that team, but it's
Mhm.
like if I'm the Suns and I'm trying to get this rebuild kicked into high gear, you know what I mean? Do I really want Dylan Brooks and Jalen Green? Probably not. But from a number standpoint, it's
Yeah.
actually perfect. But
hmm That's why when you said like, "Oh, I worked out and did these players," I was like, "Oh, Dylan, I for sure thought you had Dylan Brooks in this
I
trade."
guess because a lot of people are saying that from the Suns' perspective, why would they want Dylan Brooks? They would
Yeah,
kind of rather have the young
the
pieces
Jalen
to grow
Greens and the
around.
Jabari
Yeah.
Smith, and yeah,
Like Jalen Green is for sure in there. There's no doubt Jalen Green is part of this trade.
yeah,
It's the secondary pieces, I guess, that would be like it's either Jabari Smith and another young piece. Because actually, geez, yeah, for the Rockets, that would be the dream scenario. It's Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks because then you have Van Vliet, Amen, KD, Jabari, and Alperen Sengun as your starting five, which is pretty
hmm
wild. The only thing I will say though is like Dylan Brooks does bring like a certain leadership quality, I guess, is
that
like,
they
you know what I
don't
mean?
have that they're missing.
From a defensive side, at least. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I think they'll have Van Vliet to kind of, take on that role. I mean, the dream scenario would be that you get rid of Van Vliet and maybe trade away like one more piece. I get no, actually, no, that would not be a dream scenario because Van Vliet's been playing pretty damn good. So
he figured it out through the series. He didn't start very hot, but like he got hot towards the ending. Like we said, he remembered he was an NBA champion, how he got there, and how impactful he was, and
yeah,
that's really what showed in games like 5, 6, and 7 for
jeez,
the
God.
Rockets. But
The Suns' future not looking great with that lineup though.
no, and that's why I
It's
think
like
like
D
if
Book,
they did,
Bradley Beal, Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, and then Nick Richards. I mean,
yeah,
it's not a
well, they have
terrible
like
starting
5
lineup, but
centers.
yeah, they have zero centers. Yeah, exactly. Oh, I know. I mean, they have one
They have like
now.
5 centers, right?
No, they don't.
No,
Under contract, they only have one.
under contract, only one. Oh.
Yeah, it's only Nick Richards.
No, okay.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Richards is nice though. Came
Yeah,
over from
I
Hornets.
mean,
Yeah, I like him a
and
lot.
he worked his way into the starting lineup. Like
Did not
he killed
realize
it.
how old he is though. That's the only.
Uh,
I mean,
that's
he's
why he
20.
said
He's
like future
27. That's
wise,
not old, but I mean,
but
in NBA terms, that's old. I
yeah,
guess.
you're older. You're older. You're
Mhm.
more seasoned in that regard.
Did not realize he's almost as old as D Book.
Yeah, and that's
Ugh.
why when you talked about future wise, like I was like, oh, okay, they need the young pieces.
Yeah,
Is
it's
what
funny
they need.
because there's been a lot of noise around this move specifically. I
Mm-hmm.
get it. If I'm the Rockets, like I would be holding out at least for Giannis to see where that goes, and then maybe think about this move.
I agree.
I mean,
I like
maybe
that.
you have to strike while the iron is hot. You know what I mean? You have to make the move while there's still smoke and while the Suns are still very much interested in it. So maybe that's
Mm-hmm.
why they have kind of publicly come out and said that they want to make this trade happen. Um, but yeah, like if I was them, I feel like I don't know, that would be my like initial reaction would be like I would rather have Giannis over KD, but
Yeah,
man, I feel like we've seen enough of KD to realize like maybe he ain't it. You know what I mean?
yeah. And Giannis, that'd be a good home. I mean, he'd be a
One,
great
two, three, four,
3 or
five,
4 for
six,
them.
seven. Yeah, I mean, I gotta imagine too that if it does happen where you do give up Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks, you have to give up more picks in that version,
Yeah,
which for them isn't really that big of a deal considering that a majority of the picks that they're trading are mostly heavily protected because they're not even the Rockets picks to begin with. A lot of them are like via swap or whatever. So
via
looking at
trades and
looking
whatnot.
at all of the tradable picks that they have, there's 1, 2, 3, or 4 first round picks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 second round picks in the next like give or
5
take
years.
5 years. So they could technically give up to 10 picks, with 4 of those being first and 6 of those being seconds. I mean, I don't imagine giving up all of them, but it's like in that scenario where the picks aren't super valuable anyway.
You give up 4 or 5 of them, probably.
You better be winning a championship next year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so now if we're post trade, and let's say it is the one we want, right? The Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks out of the city. Well, is that the one you prefer, or do you prefer the other one?
I mean,
from a Rocket standpoint, like, are you
from a
preferring
Rocket standpoint? I mean, I'd want to keep Dylan Brooks. You paid all that money for him, and
Yeah.
you said defensive person. It just sucks that you give up Young. But if your picks don't mean anything to you, then you're giving up Jalen Green, and you said Jabari Smith, and one of the point guards, and some picks.
Jabari Smith, and then and presumably you would. I mean, Jabari Smith would be the Kevin Durant role, also assuming, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then probably like a Cam Whitmore to finish up. Yeah. Oh.
So in that regard, I mean, when you really look at it, you got what? Fleet at the 1, Brooks at the 2, KD at the 3, or Thompson at the 3, KD at the 4, and Sengun at the 5, with Steven Adams off the bench and Tari Eason. I mean, and then you have whatever comes up in this draft or other like tradable pieces for
possibly another point guard. You also don't have a backup center because Steven Adams is Oh no, you do have a backup center. It's just not Steven Adams. Right now they have Jock Landale as their only signed piece.
person.
Yeah,
I mean, and even at that, Jock's not horrible. He's capable.
No, I like Jock. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Ironically,
I don't see why they don't go get Steven Adams again. I re-sign him just because of like what he's done in this playoff run.
If it is the Jalen Green trade, I mean, I'll give my laid out version: Jalen Green, Jabari Smith, Reed Shepherd, because I feel like just because he's a young guy, you know what I mean, young point guard can, presumably take that spot for them. You can still play like probably Reed, D-Book, or Reed, Jalen Green, D-Book, Jabari Smith, and then Nick, whatever his name, I just completely forgot his name as soon as Nick Richards as your 5, right? That's your starting 5 to kind of build around, and then maybe convince Bradley Beal to leave, kind of deal. And then for the Rocket side, Fred VanVleet, Amin Thompson, Dylan Brooks, Kevin Durant, Alperen Sengun, and then you still got a crazy 5 off the bench. I mean, Aaron Holiday, Nate Williams, Cam Whitmore, Tari Eason, Jock Landale. That's your 5 coming off the bench, which is still pretty damn good, even if you don't get Steven Adams.
It's like semi-deep when you think about a 8 to 10 man roster rotation. During the regular season at least. And then you have the guns who are like the 7-8 man rotation.
Yeah, actually, when you lay it out this way, it is a pretty. I mean, for the Suns wise, that's not a bad group to.
It's not a bad
build
look.
around.
And then Tyus is still there too, right? Jones.
He is not. No.
Oh, he's not under contract anymore.
No. Yeah. So the only people you're talking about for the Suns, right?
We're Suns.
Yeah, their backup point guard at that point would be Vasilij Micic. Yeah.
What about Grayson?
Grayson is there. So it'd be like Vasilij, Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, Brad Beal, Cody Martin, Ryan Dunn, and then also Iguodala. But that's why I said, I imagine the guys who have team options, I'd imagine maybe they exercise those just to save a little bit of money. So let's assume that they get rid of Micic, because even though he's the only point guard they have, they could sign anybody in that point guard spot. I mean, or draft one or whatever. I mean, now they'll have their pick, so that'll be the biggest thing I think they can hold on to. They'll have their 2025 overall pick, which is, I mean, their 2025 first, which is
first
great because they were out of the lottery. You know what I mean? So fantastic for them. They also still have another first round pick from Cleveland. That one has no protections, and then they'll have 2 more second round picks. So that's a great way to sort of
Restart
add
the rebuild.
pieces and restart the rebuild. So to me, like, depending on how high that pick ends up falling, because if the Suns get lucky and end up in the lottery, maybe they decide like, okay, maybe not trade the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe maybe the Rockets decide not to
The
trade
Rockets
the Suns
don't
pick.
change it,
Yeah. But
But
yeah, all that to say, I mean, Kevin Durant makes a ton of sense. They'll probably look to add him. I think honestly, even though they would rather have a Giannis, I think it's more the idea of like, you don't want to sour the trade if you have the possibility of doing it now. That does seem like a pretty good option in getting Kevin Durant. So Rockets, pretty high ceiling. We'll see what happens with them in the offseason. This is likely going to be the scenario that plays out for them. We'll see if Kevin Durant ends up being a Houston Rocket. But we'll move on to the next one. We got the Clippers and the Nuggets. This one went to a game 7. The Nuggets, I mean, seemingly stormed back and played very Nuggets basketball. They won this one by 19 points. I mean, it looked like it was kind of maybe over for them heading into game 7, just because the Clippers had, such a strong game 6, and then seemingly were, having all the momentum heading into this one. But when you head to Denver and you have to play, very different story. So obviously the Nuggets win this 120-101. Take game 7 and head into a round 2 series against the, what did I just forget?
Thunder.
The Thunder. So Boog, thoughts, opinions on this Nuggets Clipper series? Did you like sort of seeing what the Nuggets were able to do in this game 7 to kind of close this one out?
I mean, we said it, right? Game 7. If we had to take the Nuggets, it was going to be in 7, Clippers in 6. Like that was our thought process, and it came to fruition here. I really like what the Nuggets did. Jokic did normal Jokic things, move the ball around, score when he needs to, facilitate, almost had a triple-double. And Jamal Murray. But I think for me, like, it wasn't like anybody had a breakout game. It was they actually all had that balanced offense. Sorry, that balanced offense that normally the Nuggets are known for. You have that Jokic at the point, and everybody else
were waiting for them to have
scoring. And exactly like. And I think Russell Westbrook plays a big part in that too, just because like he does Westbrook things where he looks great one moment, looks dumb the next moment, but he's still a viable option. Like him and the 5 starters all in double digits. I think they're like, you look at their plus minuses, it's crazy numbers. They played good on the defensive side of the ball. Got punched in the mouth in the first quarter. Probably had a moment where they're like, okay, we've been here before. Let's settle down. We're at home. Now let's punch back. And you literally see it in the second quarter where they go off for 37 points, go off in the third quarter, come out of the locker room, hold the momentum, 35 points. And then by then the game's basically over and they allow 35 points. But I mean, even at that point, literally, the game was over. I know a lot of people point to James Harden in this loss, but I know he didn't score the way we're used to him scoring, but the facilitation that James Harden has done, like, has grown into through his career. I think this is a better, like, James Harden as a point guard makes more sense to me than James Harden as a shooting guard right now. Just the way because of the way he facilitates the ball.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And the attention that he draws. But I mean, you look past it, it's tough, right? You had Kawhi go off for 22. And I mean, I'm not even going to go to the bench because that's probably all the garbage minutes anyway.
Yeah.
Right. And then you look at their starters, like Derek Jones had 12. Zubac had 10 only on 10 shot attempts. Harden had 7 with 8 shot attempts, and Norman Powell had 9 with 11 shot attempts. I think the biggest part of, like, when you look at how the shot attempts in general for your starters, it's a really lockdown, basically turnover heavy game. Like they had 14 turnovers and like 10 within just from the starters alone.
Yeah.
And when you look at that in that regard, it's like it's hard to get anything going. It's hard to get any type of rhythm. Like even Kawhi, we talk about Kawhi's efficiency. Like he shot almost 50%, but only taking 13 shots. But at least he was able to get to line where he got most of his points from. So when you really look at like the breakdown of everything, and you watch it on live, it was just the Nuggets controlling the game more than anything else, which is what we're kind of used to seeing from Nuggets basketball. Like they played gritty defense on one side, and then they just slow the game down and run their offense on the other side.
Yeah.
So
Honestly, watching this game, um, because we, like you said, we predicted that the Nuggets were going to have to kind of just be the Nuggets. I mean, just the best way they say it. They had to come out and all of their starters had to kind of have themselves some solid games, which they did. In
yes.
spades, Russell Westbrook also had himself a great game off the bench, like you said already. In this final one, for the Clippers, you needed guys to step up.
Mm-hmm.
Because that the Nuggets were going to throw everything they had at guys like Kawhi, at James Harden, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to be real honest. The one that to me kind of lost them this one because there was a ton of possessions where he would just kind of try to play hero ball was Norman Powell.
I was gonna say that's
In
the one
in
I
the
would point out to.
biggest moments of momentum changes,
Mm-hmm.
and especially when they were going down big already, that dude, I mean, like I said, they started off hot, right? The team in general, they were up ahead of the Nuggets, and then the Nuggets just went on their tear. But he was the biggest part of why that all fell apart. Like I'm not. I mean, he would have made, or he did make. I forget. Would have made his first All Star.
He would have been first All Star.
Would have made his first All Star this year.
Fantastic season,
but to be completely honest, like I said it last time and I'll say it again.
Yeah.
I just don't like his play style in this system specifically. I don't think he's as good enough of a shooter to be that off-ball guy. I don't think that he's necessarily a great driver in that sense because he's also not like a big guy. So it's not like he's, getting into the lane and really making a difference there either. He doesn't really do anything outside of scoring. He's pesky on defense, but he's not a defender. To me, that's the guy that I mean, if you can find a way to somehow use the momentum of how he played this season to move off of him, that would be the first guy I would send out the door. I just didn't like him in this one. Nicholas Batum again did exactly what Nicholas Batum normally does. He didn't show it in numbers, but he played a lot of great defense and was kind of the engine that kept the team rolling as far as like he kept, making good defensive plays, making smart plays. But yeah, I mean, they couldn't get anything rolling. And when you have a team like the Nuggets who were playing damn near perfectly in this one, I mean, it was hard to overcome. Heading into this offseason, looking at their team real quick, the Los Angeles Clippers. Let's see who's on their roster still. Oh, there is actually a ton of players still on the roster heading into next year. I thought they would have a lot of guys not returning.
Even better, who's not on the roster then?
Yeah, so Ben Simmons, not on the roster.
Okay.
Patty Mills, Amir Coffey. I don't know why. See, some of the
three guys that didn't play at all in game 7.
But those three are no longer coming back. Everybody else is pretty much coming back. Yikes. This is a team that's going to have some hard times making some moves because there are not a lot, if any, desirable trade pieces in this group. Like if Nicholas Batum, this is where I'll probably start. Nicholas Batum, if I'm him, do I want to come back to the situation? Probably not. Kobe Brown, don't even know who you are. Sorry. We're declining your option just to free up some money. You know what I mean? And then that's where it'll get finicky is, guys like James Harden, he has a player option heading into this year. Does he exercise that player option to, it's funny. So if he exercised his player option, stay with the team, he would actually be taking a pay cut. So he'd have to be confident that somebody would want to sign him to something bigger. Otherwise, he could technically decline his option or ask for an extension of some sort because he's technically only making $36 million, which in comparison to a lot of the other big name contracts, that's nothing.
Yeah,
because Kawhi himself is making 50 next year. So, I mean, that's a big stark difference in pay. And And then as far as everybody else is concerned, yeah, that's pretty much the rest of this roster is locked in. You know, you do have Bogdan, you do have Zubac, Dunn.
I'd like to see Bogdan get a little bit more use, but I think it's because he got traded mid-season. You know,
The
he'll have a
chemistry
year in
wasn't
him.
quite there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think Bogdan takes Norman Powell's spot. In all honesty, I think he's a better option in that regard.
I do too. Like I personally would rather have Bogdan in those minutes than have Norman Powell.
But
Like
like you said, it was mid-season. The chemistry's not there, so maybe in the off-season, as he said, if they're running it back with this same lineup and this same roster, then maybe that's a change that gets made.
and
Powell
don't get me
comes off the
wrong. I
bench.
mean, my personal preference right here, like even though I loved his play, is a real power forward, like a real big body. Because even
Yeah,
though Derek Jones Jr. can play that role, I hate having Derek Jones Jr. in that role. Like I understand he's super athletic. That's why a lot of
I
guys
like
like
him
to
as
run
like
him in
a
that.
small forward.
Yeah, like as a
A
wing
small
guy,
forward. Yeah,
because he can defend at the rim. He's quick. He obviously can jump. So there's a lot of that.
super
To me,
athletic.
like I just hate that teams always rock him out as like a power forward. Like he's 6'5", he's 210, he's super skinny. He's not like a big body
Yeah,
guy. So to me, like that would be like one of the things I'd be looking at. Obviously, they don't. Well, I mean, they actually do have a good amount of cap space if they do decline the options that I already kind of talked about earlier. Like
yeah,
if Batum walks, Kobe Brown, if they decline him, they do open up a good amount of cap space, so they have an opportunity. If they can convince James Harden to re-sign at or to stay signed with that player option and to opt in, you know what I
yeah.
mean? Then you have at least you're starting, two guys like they have enough to maybe go out and get like a solid mid-tier guy. Who that is?
I would have loved to see them run Ben Simmons at the 4.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%.
Like I think that would have been
He would be
amazing.
a
He's a
guy
great
I'd be okay with them
defender. He's a
re-signing.
big
Yeah.
body. You know what I mean? Like if they can somehow like swing that where Jones Jr. and what you call it, Norman Powell come off the bench. You put Bogdan and Simmons into that, like
Yeah,
into
Harden,
the lineup.
Bogdan, Kawhi, Ben Simmons, and Zubac would be a pretty damn good
Yeah.
lineup if talking. Yeah,
And then coming off the bench, you got Powell, Jones. You got like a Chris Dunn, Eubanks, and whoever.
it's funny because in a dream scenario, so like this would be like my dream scenario for if I was the Clippers wise.
Mhm.
Looking at some of the free agents who have options this offseason, assuming they're essentially just like we're going all in on this group, right?
Yeah,
Because that's my presumption is like this is the group that we're gonna try to. There are two guys that I'd be heavily eyeing this offseason as far as like people who could come in and make a difference in that spot. Especially if I was trying to get like a 4 guy. One would be Chris Middleton, because I do think that he'd come in on a pretty bare contract. You don't have to pay him a ton because, I mean, he's kind of tail end of his career. He has a lot of injury
yeah,
concerns. To me, like I feel like adding that sort of defense and 3-and-D guy would be solid because then at least you can slot Kawhi into the 4 permanently, move him to the 3, and then
yeah.
you'd have Bogdan and James Harden. The other guy that will be wholly dependent on what happens with his star player would be Bobby Portis. That would be a guy that would
That would
be
be that would be a great get.
yeah,
That's a great shout. I like that
like Bobby Portis and Vika Zubac would be a pretty damn good front
tandem.
court. Yeah,
Yeah,
like to me, like those are two guys I would heavily target. Like I think Bobby Portis fits the identity of this team very good.
yes,
They're a defensive minded group. They can hit the shots. If they added him, I think that would add some life to this squad. I think that's one thing they are missing. They don't have a guy who kind of all of these guys are very muted personalities. That would be the guy that's like everybody get up, let's play. Like that's the guy that's
yeah,
like that would bring that personality. To me, that would be a dream offseason. They have the money to technically sign him. I don't think he'd come at that expensive of a cost. There are
yeah.
other guys that like would be great, but like there's no way they'd sign for the amount of money that they have. Like I'm looking at
Yeah.
what's his name?
I would love them because we always
Reed.
talk about like we talk about teams that are out and how we rebuild and who they should get rid of first, and we talk about like who everybody should offload. I think JJJ would be perfect in this in a 4 for them.
JJJ would be phenomenal if they somehow were able to.
If they could swing that somehow.
It's funny because
just because, like you said, like look at a 4. JJJ doesn't like to play the 5. I mean, you already have Zubac there. He's a great 4, and you want a big body. You want like an all defensive player, right?
Their trade.
You got to give up a lot.
Their trade group. See, that's where it would fall out of. That's why I'm saying like this is where I'm kind of like they have to sign somebody. Is the tradable pieces that they have?
There's not a lot there.
Like if you were like
enough assets for it.
Yeah, if you're the Grizzlies, like, do you want Bogdan that much? You know what I mean? Is Bogdan the guy that takes over for Jaren Jackson? Probably not.
Bogdan's going to take over for what's his name? Desmond Bain.
Like that's the only thing. Like there's a ton of guys I think they would want, but it's like tradable wise, they don't have anything to trade for any of those guys. Like Norman Powell.
I think Bobby Portis would probably be like the best fit.
That's the best case scenario for them because they really don't have anything to trade. I mean, there's going to be teams eventually that are like, we'll take on Norman Powell's contract. You give us like 2 seconds. Okay. That's probably like the best case scenario for them down the line. This offseason, though, their best hope is going to be like Giannis gets traded. Bobby Portis, declines his player option, which he does have for Milwaukee, and then they sign him. That is the perfect scenario for the Clippers.
Ideals.
Yeah, we just helped you guys right there. Boom. You guys don't have a lot of trade assets. You can have Bobby Portis, sign him to that whatever you have left. $22.6 million is what I see there. Sign him to that because you're going to need all the money to make it worth it for Bobby Portis to come play for you guys. And guarantee him that starting spot because I don't think he's had that since he played with the Bulls. So been a minute since he's been like a guaranteed starter. But anyway, the Nuggets looking good heading into their next series. Obviously, they are playing very Nuggets basketball. And we'll get into that because in game 1 of the next playoff series, they do win against the Oklahoma City Thunder. It was basically off of a crazy game winner by Aaron Gordon.
Again.
121 to 119. Boog, first and foremost, I don't know if you got to watch this game. I don't know if you watched the highlights.
Yeah, we were watching this game.
So I for sure watched this one too. The ending. What were the Nuggets doing? I cannot fathom how they gave up a sizable lead heading into what should have been the last minute of this game, just running the clock out, and then proceeded to lose this game. What were sort of the biggest moments that changed it for you? And more importantly, are you worried at all about the Thunder heading into the rest of the series, seeing the sort of mental collapse that they had at the end of this one?
I mean, okay, so I have no idea what the Thunder were doing at the end of the game. It was funny because like I watched it and it was mind blowing. And then I was watching like reels this morning, and they were talking about like, oh, how they shouldn't have fouled here, and which allowed Jokic to get back in the game, and they did this and they did that, and then like they put Aaron Gordon on the line for like 2 free throws, and then they proceed to get the ball into Chet, and Chet misses a free throw, and then they go down and they literally
did he miss 2?
No, I think he missed 1.
Okay, he only missed 1. Okay,
I think he missed 1. If I I have it up right here, so it's perfect. Let me just look. Where's the fourth quarter? At the very end. Oh no, he missed both.
Okay, that's what I was saying. I thought he missed both.
He missed both. It was 119, 118, and then he misses. Braun gets the board, gives it to Westbrook. Westbrook comes storming down the court.
I also remember thinking that guy has a very. I didn't realize he has like that weird pause when he shoots his free throws.
Yeah,
because he just like lines up. I was like, what was that? I didn't realize he did that, but
that's his normal. That's his normal stroke.
That seems to throw his shots off because he missed both right after each other. So,
but I mean, you got a phenomenal game from Jokic, right? What is it? 42, 22, and 6.
Hell yeah, you do.
Like, and then you have
Battle of
Aaron
the
Gordon off for 20,
MVPs.
Jamal Murray off for 21, but Westbrook had 18. But I mean, anytime Jokic goes off for 42, I mean, you respect that part of it, his game, and then you have to respect the passing and everything that comes alongside it.
Yep.
If I am OKC, yeah, we're the number 1 seed. Yeah, best record in the league. Yeah, all this other stuff. We swept the first round. I'm a little worried because they don't
I'm
really
definitely
have
worried.
a lot of,
Yeah.
they don't have a lot of playoff experience when you look at this team.
No, they do not.
How do you bounce back from basically blowing game 1 to a very seasoned, experienced championship caliber Nuggets team?
It is. Yep.
I mean, that's if you even go to the numbers. Caruso looked amazing this game, by the way. Side note,
Yep.
I loved watching him. Like, I mean, that's we talked that up while we were
Oh my
watching
gosh.
the game.
Yeah, I know.
SGA always going to be SGA because he said battle of the MVPs.
Yep.
But past that, I mean, somebody's got to. Like, we talk about all the other series. Somebody's got to step up. Somebody's got to step up and be like, hey, our two guys, like our grit guy and our MVP, can't be the only two producing at a high clip on both sides of the ball.
No, they cannot.
Like, who's gonna be that guy? It's supposed to be Chet, right? Everybody said it's supposed to be Chet. It's his first full year after being injured. Lou Dort's another one, right? He was in talks where he was a defensive player of the year.
Defensive player of the year.
For defensive player of the year. I mean, it's tough. It's tough to point a finger and say where they're going to get it from. But, I mean, I'm worried, but I'm not worried in a sense because we all know Jokic just went off for 42. We all know SGA can go off for 44, 40,
Yeah.
for 50. Like, he can go off one night and put them right back in the momentum part of the series, especially if he does it in game 2.
Agreed.
At home. So for me, that's kind of where it is. Like, I'm worried, but I'm not worried. I'm worried for them because you gave the Nuggets, you gifted them game 1 after they literally just came off a 7-game series and they should be tired and they should have lost this series. This game, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm with it.
Who are the Nuggets?
The Nuggets. Oh my god. Side note.
Got me.
Side note. Oh my god! Shut up over there.
I normally don't break
You
on
literally
some of
just
these,
broke everything.
but that one got me. I was like, who are the Nuggets?
Oh my god! No, side note. I don't think MPJ has that horrible of a game 2.
Agree.
So that's going to be different on that side of the ball as well for me.
Also, I thought it was hilarious that they talked to Aaron Gordon after the game, and they're like, "Did you know that you were already up like 1 or you only needed
you were
to
down 1?
Oh,
you only need to hit
one, so you only need to hit a layup." And he's just like, "Yeah, I thought that the 3." I was just like, "Okay, LeBron, line up."
No, you know what's funny?
I thought the 3 was better. I was just like, "No, you didn't. You didn't realize you were down only 1."
He's like, "Oh, here we hit the free throws. I got to hit this to tie."
I'm like, "Bro, you could have ran that down and dunked that ish, and nobody would have."
I literally thought that's what Westbrook was going to do. I thought Westbrook was going to go to the paint and get fouled.
Yeah.
And then he kicked it out to Gordon, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting."
I just thought
then Gordon chucked it up, and I'm like,
wait, in my head, I was laughing too because I was like, there was a quick moment where they kind of do the behind the cam from like kind of where you can see Jokic on the left. It looked like he kind of gave one of those like, oh, like, because I was just like, because even I was thinking like Aaron Gordon shooting the game winning 3. That's
Gordon for 3.
I was like, bro, I don't know. He hit it though, so props to the man. That was a crazy game, crazy way to end it. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Alex Caruso, oh my gosh, watching him play, bro, it's so sickening because
he left you guys. We gave him away.
That's the guy. Yeah, that's the guy we should have kept and traded away everybody else. I know everybody was talking about how like he deserves to be on a championship. No, we should have kept him, gave away Zach LaVine, gave away DeMar DeRozan, figured everything else out from there because I love his play. I love his leadership. I love what he does on the court. To me, this was a lot of mental mistakes by a young Thunder squad. I think they'll figure things out. They honestly they were running away with it for a majority. I mean, the Nuggets had to play damn near perfect ball just to keep up with them.
In the second
Um,
half, they
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 were
literally
they were
changed it
struggling,
around.
man. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
up until that like
Is it?
fourth quarter run where they really pulled
Gotcha.
away, or where they really caught up. Like to me, like
Yeah.
I truly thought that the Thunder had this one locked. So I mean, I'm not super worried about them heading into the next one. If anything, I'm more concerned that like um from the from the Nuggets standpoint, it's like, can we sustain this level of play through the next, 4 or 5 series?
The
This was going to be a
yeah.
good. This was going to be a good one. I hope, hopefully we don't see the Thunder just completely collapse after this, but I think they'll bounce back. And like you said, SGA is the perfect guy for that. Battle of the MVPs, man. We'll see how that plays out. We'll see how the MVP trophy
Nuggets in
gets thrown out.
6.
So, ooh, I was going to ask you that, but
Nuggets
anyway,
in 6.
moving to the last two, the Eastern Conference has been hella interesting because, as we just saw with this one, yet another upset in the first game of the second round. You know what I mean?
2 upsets.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like all upsets for the first round of, or the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
The Pacers take their first game 121-112. The Knicks take their first game 108-105. We'll first talk about the Pacers and the Cavs because I think the Knicks and the Celtics was pretty wild.
Yeah.
Looking at the Pacers Cavs, what were the Pacers able to do in this matchup against the Cleveland Cavaliers, who seemingly up until this point have been pretty unstoppable? But what were your thoughts on what happened in this one?
I mean, when you really look at everything, a lot of it for me is the missing of Darius Garland, who's been such a big piece. He's in like the Robin to Donovan Mitchell's Batman, basically.
Yep, 100%.
And you see how much he's missed in these regards because he's a scorer. He plays good defense. He's a good facilitator as well. But I think what happened literally for me is watching exactly what I watched in the first series for the Pacers. The well-roundedness of the offense, the well-roundedness of the defense. Hallie actually having a great, like a phenomenal game, 22 and 13, 1 steal, 3 blocks, like only 1 turnover in that regard.
Yeah.
And I mean, showing his Olympic caliber leadership of what he should be doing, what he did at FIBA, why he's like in a lot of talks for national team things. Nembhard and Naismith are by far the unsung heroes through this whole playoff
100%,
run.
dog.
Everybody's been
100%.
talking about how Nembhard is literally doing everything like to a T as he's being asked. He's shooting at a amazing, like he shot 70% in this. He was 5 or 6 from the 3-point line. He's playing amazing defense. He still facilitates. I mean, he doesn't need to grab boards or like he had 0 boards, but it doesn't even matter when you're shooting that well and you're making the right plays as far as like when to shoot the ball or when to like keep the ball moving.
Yeah.
I mean, he had 6 assists.
He plays like a
Naismith did the
veteran,
same
even
thing.
though he's not necessarily a veteran. I mean, he's still a young
Exactly.
dude. You know what I mean? He does all the little things in each and every game. I mean, I think that is the Indiana Pacers in a nutshell. Like,
Yeah.
all of their guys have played very good basketball, and none of them outside of Halliburton. Oh, I guess Pascal.
Pascal, because he's a champion.
Yeah,
He's a champion.
I won't shade Siakam, but outside of that, like this is a very blue collar,
Underrated.
no nonsense, just basketball playing team. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And like I would say, even in little spurt moments, I saw some things out of Obi Toppin that I didn't think I could see from Obi Toppin. Like he had a couple of great passes in there. It was like a what do they call it? Like a hockey assist, where it's like a pass to somebody and it goes out to somebody else. A lot of great plays like that, which to me is indicative of not only their ability to buy into playing basketball the right way.
Yeah.
What is his name? Rick Carlisle, man.
Shout out to him. We've seen Rick Carlisle at so many different levels. I love that guy.
He's so good. Yeah.
Such
the
a team
system
guy.
that he's instituted with this group is, I mean, and they're clearly buying in, which I love. I love seeing a young group of guys who can buy into a system and buy into playing basketball the correct way. Like to me, I'll eat my shoe on this because you said it prior to this. You liked them a lot. I wasn't fully bought. I mean, I couldn't. I kind of still was like, I don't know. Here's the thing with the playoffs this year that I feel like has been pretty interesting, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this too. This has been one of the first years in a long time where we've seen not only super deep teams be the focal point slash the the powerhouses in the playoffs, but we're seeing these young deep teams. Like we're finally starting to see the results of like the rebuild era of basketball, right? Because there was like the superstar era, right, where it's like the big three, Miami Heat, you know what I mean? Like it moved into like the Golden State Warriors, it moved into like the Cleveland Cavaliers, like all of these teams were just stacking stars. Now we're finally starting to see teams that are like one, maybe two stars, but we'll have just these deep basketball playing groups of players that we're drafting or building the chemistry, or we're bringing in these correct pieces, like
right into the systems.
Almost every single team in the playoffs right now is like that. Like that build is like has been the general build. Even if you look at the Nuggets, like most of the year, Jamal Murray wasn't really anything. I mean, you know what I mean? We would say Michael Porter Jr. was likely going to be traded. Like there's Aaron Gordon, who's one trick pony, essentially, kind of. I mean, he hit the three, so I can't say that anymore. But he's essentially like a defensive rebounding guy. But then you got Jokic, who's a clear megastar, and then you throw him into a group of guys who all just fit perfectly with him. I mean, this is why I'm enjoying watching the playoffs this year, and why I'm enjoying watching the NBA currently right now, because seeing these young teams step up and play just great basketball is something that has been missing for like the last 15 years. Like all we've seen is like, oh, the two mega teams that threw like $400 million at three guys. Now they're playing. Oh, wow, great. That's fun to watch. No,
I mean, for what, 5 years? Five years, we watched the Warriors and the Cavs, basically.
Like it's funny because those got the most ratings, I guess, because in the last 10 years, because it is but it's like from from like our standpoint, like the fan standpoint that will watch the game no matter what.
Yeah,
it's so much more fun to see like teams like the Knicks coming back, like the Pacers coming back. Like the Pistons coming back, like the Rockets. Like it's so fun to see.
And the Bulls.
Yeah, they'll come back eventually. I was like, we're still working on it, but other teams first.
No, I'm 100% with you there. I think you said it perfectly. Like for this specific Pacers team, the blue collar workers, the guys that did it great. You look at the journeymen that's traveled too, like Obi Toppin, like Thomas Bryant. I mean, there's players like that. Siakam came from, right?
It's crazy to think Obi Toppin is a journeyman at this point, because he has been around for a minute, and wow.
And I just love it because, like you said, they finally these types of players who are good players. They're good role players. They're good at what they do and how they fit into systems. They're finally getting the love that they deserve. When you look across the board, right? We talked about like the Okoros, the Jarrett Allen. Jarrett Allen was another journeyman too. Like he played for a good amount of teams in that regard, and he's found a perfect home with the Cavs. I do agree. I think it goes to show, like everybody talks about trust the process and do this and that, and these teams that are deep.
Honestly, that was the era I was trying to name, because I was like rebuild era, but it was the trust the process era. There you go. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah. But I mean, every team that's in the playoffs, you're not wrong. They're deep, and they have people who are buying into the right way to play basketball. I love it. I mean, like we said, like we watched the Timberwolves Lakers matchup, and that Timberwolves team, young, scrappy, deep, and they got great rotations. You look at why the Thunder have been successful all year because of those reasons. Every top tier team that made the playoffs this year, even in the top 10, I would say, because there were a lot on each side.
It's crazy too. I looked at the Thunder roster, and like one, they drafted pretty much everybody outside of Caruso, right? but they at least acquired the picks via trades that were able to.
They traded. I think Caruso and SGA, because SGA came from the Clippers.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I think that's the only two. Everything else was like Hartenstein was for certain things.
Yeah,
they just brought in this year, but everybody else, the Chets, the Jalen's,
and that was the other thing too. Is I looked at the roster, I didn't even realize that like Chet, Jalen, Cason Wallace, and Usman Dieng or whatever his name, all four of those guys came from one draft. So it's like it's wild to think that they like brought in all these players from one draft, and they still have like the young, they can like. I mean, you found two stud starters in Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren in one draft, which is pretty great to see. Like it's one of those things where it's like now we're starting to see the trust the process stuff really come into focus. Like
like you said, they make it fun to watch because we've watched these teams suck for so long or struggle for so long,
or they're one piece away maybe. Like that's how we've been kind of talking about it now.
And now it's like look at the top two teams in the league. Literally the Thunder and the Cavs, and it was like.
And the Cavs is like post, like, and I can't even say it's post LeBron trade because LeBron didn't get traded, so they didn't really get anything for losing him. But I mean, it was post like everything else that happened. Like they were able to
everybody leaving. Basically.
They were able to kind of get their own, you know what I mean, like
their own identity. Like the Darius Garland, right? They drafted him, and we got the Evan Mobleys and the Isaac Okoro,
defensive player of the year.
And then you get the pieces like Spider.
Then you trade for Jared Allen, It's like
you trade for Jared Allen. There you go. See, and then like the three players I think that gets no love from them is the DeAndre Hunters, the Ty Jeromes. And I think Max Strus has found a great home there.
Hey, Ty Jerome was up there for Sixth Man of the Year, so he got some love. You know what I mean? He got a little bit of love this year.
But I feel like he gets kind of forgotten sometimes.
Oh, I mean, I would forget him like a couple of times where I was just
I mean,
Ty
dude, he's been scoring, man.
No, he's been balling, for sure.
He's in balling for sure. But I think that's what is making this a lot more interesting is the new wave of these types of players. So.
I have thoroughly enjoyed watching the playoffs this year in comparison to other years because I'm just so sick of seeing just star players stacked up on one team and now we can't enjoy it. You know what I mean? Like it's so much more. And I think the part that bothers me the most about those ones specifically is it's like it's always the same teams. It's like the Lakers. You know what I mean? Like, oh, Lakers got another guy. Great. You know what I mean? Now it's the
Warriors
Lakers
got another guy.
Yeah, Warriors got another guy. Exactly. It's always the same teams that are getting these players. Like, it's so refreshing now to see like a league where like Pacers coming in. There's only, two somewhat stars on the squad, and they're like smacking dudes in the face. Timberwolves, same deal. They got Anthony Edwards. They got a Julius Randle, who everybody was like, that guy's a bum.
Who everybody wrote him off.
Rudy Gobert, same thing. Oh, he can't play offense. We can't write him off. Like, it's like they got all these guys. Yeah, exactly. And so it's so refreshing to see. And given, shout out to the Pacers, man. Hell of a game. I think when Darius Garland is back in the fold, it'll definitely change things up a little bit. But moving over to the Knicks and Celtics, this one was a dog fight all the way through. The Knicks end up winning 108-105 in OT. That score is just about as close as it was the entire game. Ton of defense. I kind of said this in the last time we talked about this series heading into this one. I did say that I felt like the Knicks were like the best matchup for the Celtics because they're, I mean, if you looked at the starting lineups, it's eerily similar. You know what I mean? And like, even if you look at the bench squad, eerily similar. Like the Knicks have a Jalen Brunson. You got a polar opposite Drew Holiday. You look at Josh Hart, polar opposite Jaylen Brown. You got OG Anunoby, polar opposite Jason Tatum. You got Mikal Bridges, polar opposite. You know what I mean? Like it was just like a full team build of like they look very similar. I mean, even their centers kind of play similar roles where they can kind of knock down the three, they can kind of get inside, they can defend at the rim. I mean, this will be a fun one to watch. It got very chippy as well.
Oh, of course.
You could tell the Knicks, man, they're coming in with like they might be like a similar ilk to like the bad boy Pistons, where they come in and they're like we're about to smack you in your house. Like this, like to me, they are showing some grit that I didn't think I'd see from a young Knicks squad. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at this series, looking at what you got to see in this game, I think there was a key moment there in the end of the fourth quarter where the Celtics just didn't even get a shot off, really, to kind of end the game there at the fourth quarter. They brought the ball into Jason Tatum. I don't know what the hell that play was, but that was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
He was well defended in that, and then it headed to OT. Boog, what did you get to see from this one that would kind of stood out to you? Do you think the Knicks, as the underdogs, do you think the Knicks have a chance of actually upsetting the Celtics, or is this sort of just a game one fluke and the Celtics will lock in?
I think it's a game one fluke. I only say it because Porzingis is the difference maker.
That's
Porzingis
very
was
true.
sick. Played 13 minutes. Porzingis was 0 of 4. He had 0 points. He literally did nothing for them. I mean,
Very
in
true.
that regard.
And you could tell
And-
because they lacked size at some
Yeah.
points. Yeah.
I mean, you have Al Horford, who has been there for forever and been able to step in that role, but he's getting older. He's not the same Al Horford that you grabbed when he was good and he was coming over from that Atlanta Hawks team. And
Yeah, true.
I think that's the biggest difference maker for me. As long as Porzingis can come back in, that like last year when Boston won, I said this is not going to be a series if Porzingis plays because he's that good. I think he's that good. There's a reason why he was the face of the Knicks for a while.
Yep.
That's why he moved on to Dallas, where Dallas I feel like he didn't get as much love, and he was injured a little bit. And then now he's in Boston, where he just shines because of how good their rotations are. I don't want to take anything away from the Knicks, though, because like we said, they are the Timberwolves of the Eastern Conference. They play that same type of defense. They're deep in rotation.
Yep.
They size up and match up well offensively and defensively with almost any team. And this team is built, I think, almost to the T to match up perfectly with the Celtics.
Yeah.
Jalen Brunson is him. He really is.
Yep.
I was never super bought in on Jalen Brunson until
I was not either. I think we all
watched
were.
him this
Yeah.
year.
Mhm.
I watched him this year, coming back from the injuries, showing like how much he was missed and what
Yep.
he can do. And like watch him in that Pistons game where he took over. You watch him in this game one where he took over. Man, I can't give him any more praise than what he's been getting and the love that he's been getting, and he's well deserved because that guy just grinds, and he doesn't care if you're 2 foot or 7 foot in front of him. He's gonna take you off the dribble, whether it's to the rack or pull up and make you look a little stupid for blowing by him. And OG had an amazing game. I think they need more production out of Cat, especially in the missing parts of Porzingis.
Yep.
To be a bigger X factor, so this team doesn't go to overtime.
Yeah, exactly.
I do think if this series goes to 7, Boston wins no matter what because they have the deeper bench.
I agree.
We all, like you said, we know what Tibbs does. We love Tibbs, but man, this team cannot run for 51. Mikal Bridges ran for 51 minutes.
No, cannot do that. Yeah.
51 minutes, and man, that's crazy. When you have players on the bench that can give you somewhat of a little bit of a break.
Yep.
Like you look at the bench minutes, they're basically 7 deep with Mitchell Robinson, Miles McBride. Precious played 5 minutes. Cameron played 3 minutes. I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing? Those are two very capable players.
Yep.
And you have the PJ Tuckers and the DeLeon Wrights, right?
DeLon, right? Yeah.
DeLon Wright, sorry. Landry Shamit's on that roster too. I mean, like you have the pieces that can give you sustainable, like carry like rest minutes, and I just think like we praised Boston all year about it. They just have too many weapons at the end of the day, but I think their biggest weapon was missing in game 1, and that's Porzingis. So
Agree wholeheartedly. Yeah. I was like, to me, that's going to be the big difference for them heading into the next one for sure. I agree with you on that. If you watch what the Knicks were able to do, it wasn't anything spectacular. You know what I mean? It was very Knicks basketball.
yeah,
They stayed in front of Tatum. They let him get his. They stayed in front of Jaylen Brown. They let him get his. It was, again, similar to like what you do with a lot of these teams, right? You let those guys go because you know they're going to get theirs anyway, and you focus on everything else around them. That's kind of what they were able to do to sort of neutralize this team to the best of their ability. I think that definitely helped with keeping them on track
Mhm.
The other part of this was, I mean, you said it already. We didn't really buy into Jalen Brunson. That dude, when you need him to get a bucket, I mean, he just goes and gets a bucket, man. Like,
Yeah.
he's not the biggest guy, so you would think like it'd be harder for him. But sometimes when you watch him just get into his spaces, get to that 3-point line, do the things he does, I mean, it surprises the hell out of me. Like, I sometimes will watch him and hit a shot and be like, did not expect that to go over that dude or get in, but somehow
Yeah.
it went over that dude and got in. So, I mean, shout out to JB. I mean, he's been having himself a hell of a series. Um, we'll see what happens with the rest of this one, but I do kind of agree with you. This might have been like a fluke win for them. If it leads to something more and they end up taking it, shoe in the mouth kind of deal.
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean, I'll eat it. It's
yeah,
fine.
you know what I mean? Like, we'll definitely take that one back. But honestly, like, they're going to fight tooth and nail with the Celtics the entire time. This one definitely was one of those things where like they needed a perfect game to beat the Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what happens when the Celtics come full force at them in the next one. You know what I mean? So I expect the Celtics to take the next one. I'm assuming you're saying the same thing for this one.
Yeah.
Moving over to the Rockets Warriors. Who do you have winning game one of that one?
Rockets Warriors. It's Timberwolves Warriors.
Timberwolves. Yeah,
I got the Warriors in
Sorry.
seven. The Warriors in seven over the Rockets.
Yeah, sorry, my bad.
Win. No, you're chilling.
Warriors,
You're chilling.
Timberwolves. Who do you got in game one?
Ooh. I'm gonna go Timberwolves. Game one.
Is it? Yeah, it's home for them, right?
It's home for them.
Yeah,
because they're the sixth. They're the higher seed.
Got more rest. I'm giving it to the Timberwolves as well. I think they're going to come and swing.
And the rotation is a little bit deeper. I mean, you put the death lineup out there with Dre, Buddy, Clay, Steph, and what's it called?
Jimmy
Podziemski. Jimmy and Podziemski. I think that was their five, right? But I mean, you gotta be. We watched the Timberwolves dismantle the Lakers team with their depth. Their size and their prowess. I think it's gonna. There's gonna be a fight.
They can match up dog for dog in this one too.
There's gonna be a fight in this game.
You know what I mean? Like
it's gonna be Jimmy
and Jimmy
Draymond.
Going back and forth. You know what I mean? I'm assuming Ant will likely be the one that goes on to Steph for a majority of this one. JD McDaniels. I'm assuming he's going to be the one that matches up with Jimmy a lot. He has the length and size to kind of make things difficult for Jimmy for sure. And then even with what's his name? I mean, matching Julius Randle, matching Draymond Green's energy. I mean, imagine that one for sure is going to end in something. So this will be a super fun series
I'm telling you.
I'm with you. I agree. Timberwolves taking the first game. We already talked about the Celtics taking game two. Nuggets. Who do you got in that series? Nuggets Thunder.
I got the Nuggets. Like I said, I think I got the Nuggets in that game two only because, like I said, MPJ is not going to have a horrible game two.
I'm going to say game two goes to the Thunder. I'll give them one. They'll bounce back. They're at home. I was like that kind of stuff. This was a mental mistake. They can make up for that. Moving into the last one, Pacers, Cavs. Who do you got?
Pacers. I'm on that Pacers train, man.
I'm gonna give game two to the Cavs just because it's Cleveland.
Is Garland playing? That's my question.
I'm gonna say regardless of Garland playing, I'll give it to them. Game two.
A game time decision for
Gotcha.
DeAndre Hunter, Evan Mobley, and Garland.
They are at home. I'll give them the home team advantage. So
I mean, they're 34-7 at home.
I'm pretty much giving all of the home teams the win. Got Timberwolves. Yeah. I said Timberwolves,
Thunder, Cavs, and Celtics. Yeah,
Cavs and
all the home teams.
Yeah, all home teams for me. Yeah. Anyway, I think that'll do it for this episode of After the Buzzer. Boog, you got any last minute thoughts before we bounce on out of here?
I'm excited for these game twos, but I also am excited for this offseason just to see who makes moves, going places.
And I want to know
who's going to get Cooper Flag.
We better actually see some big moves. I was like, please, Bulls. Last time we had these odds, Derrick Rose. This time, Cooper
Flag.
That would be crazy,
dude. That would be crazy.
Woo!
If you guys swing that,
I'd be so happy. That would change a lot of things about this offseason. I'll say this: that'll definitely help our
draw
odds
a lot of
maybe trading for some bigger names that maybe
Superstar,
want to play
yeah.
with us. Giannis. No, I'm just joking. Anyway, moving out of here. I think that'll do it for this episode of After the Buzzer. As always, it has been a pleasure. It's been a joy from all of us here at Point Soy.